I think it's hard to talk about that work, the variations of incomplete open cubes, without talking directly about the image, because in the image two elements are infused. Obviously, one is the hands that are trying to do the cubes, and another is Solowit's kind of abstractions. They're kind of they're almost like two images on top of each other, and I think the images of somebody doing the image of somebody doing something with the hands is a very common image. It reminds me of magic tricks, you know, like doing coin tricks or something like that. That's a very kind of cheap way of acquiring skill or doing something to kind of like show others. But it also has a sense of a language. It's a kind of babbling, you know. It's a kind of like it's not a quite clear language, but it is a language, and that gives the work a sense of urgency, as if there's a certain communication taking place, that something is, that the person is trying to express something or say something with these hand movements, and maybe that is also the point, you know, just, you know, trying to do it and trying to express it through a dance of the hands, and trying to express it through the body. It might not give you a kind of completely clear statement of what it's about what that work is about, or what Solowit is about, but there is a certain communication taking place, communication that we might be able to decode at some point. One work that I also show is the Morning of the Magicians, which actually appears in three different versions, one might say. One is a series of photographs that I took in 2005, and then there's two films. One is a double video projection, and one is a 16mm film, and they all kind of deal with the same material, so to speak. It deal with this house, this monument to the assimilation of the occult into the 20th century. The 16mm film deals with this idea of certain places that it is as if they have formed knots, like narrative knots, and it's easy to imagine maybe as a visual things, all these narratives, storylines that are kind of coming from all sides, and they form a knot, and the house in Cefalu is such a knot. Another way to express it is that the wall that separates worlds is thin at that point. And what I mean by that is not, you know, this notion of the spirit world, but the world of ideas, or the world of narratives. It kind of like, it's easy to connect things in that spot. And then you have the double video projection, and there I use what I call setting figures in motion. In that film, I'm kind of like working with certain figures. I'm working with things like references from the specific history. Especially from the Kenneth Anger, who like one example would be that Kenneth Anger wanted to do a film in the Abbey of Thelema, and he wanted to use the magician's cape from the Children of Paradise, and on that cape it says Abra on the back, and that's why she writes Abra in her hand. So there's like remains of all these different in a very literal way, and when Rolling Stones were rehearsing Sympathy for the Devil, which is the drum beat the girl plays, they were hanging out with Kenneth Anger. And then lastly you have the photographs, and they are like in that half stage. They are almost asleep, but they are woken by the text. You can see it quite literally when people see the work, you know, like they see the photographs, and when they see him first, they might see him in a way that is similar to how I encountered the site when I first came there. They come and they don't really know what it is, and it's just something there on the wall. And then they start kind of diving into the text, and gradually the place is opening up, and maybe at one point they are able to recognize the house as a little dot, you know, among all those kind of like newly built concrete vacation homes. So in a way, the process of reading the text and looking at the photograph, and I think not so many read it from start to bottom. They read like here and there, and then something occurs to them in the images, and then gradually the photographs are awoken, so to speak. I enjoy writing the text. I think it's two different parts of me. I think when I write a lot, I kind of miss doing images, and when I do images, I miss writing a little bit. I use text in a different way. The text appear differently, you know. Sometimes they appear in vitrines together with other material, like in From the Secret Garden of Sleep. Other times they're on the wall, or in the case of Morning of the Magicians, they're like on a board and very present visually in the space. And a lot of other work I choose not to accompany by text. There the spectator has to kind of dig a little deeper to kind of find out what text are kind of accompanying those works. They have to look for a folder on the net or something like that. So I think that's also important for me, that there are different kind of layers of information, that the information is not equally accessible everywhere. And sometimes I do that in press releases as well. I kind of, you know, tell like very much what the work is about in one work, and then the next work I'll just, you know, refer the title, as if everybody would know automatically what the magic mirror of John Dee is. And I do that quite deliberately to create a kind of a hierarchy, not exactly a hierarchy, but that all information is kind of exist not on the same level, but on different levels and different levels of accessibility.